gonna get you, Barbara.
Ever played Skin the Cat?
Someone's in the back seat! Tell me where you are, John!
Wolfman's got Nards!
Hi guys, my name's Barry and welcome back to the channel. Let's talk about the box office intake for Scream 6 that's coming out on the 10th of March. Now, Scream movies lately have been kind of all over the place in terms of box office. Obviously that could be thanks to the pandemic as well, because of the results we got for Scream 5 back in 2022. So there's no real way to determine where the Scream franchise is going, because obviously it's went up since Scream 4, and to this day I still don't understand what happened with the box office with Scream 4. I don't know if it's maybe a marketing issue, but you can see that with Scream 1, 2 and 3 they were big massive box office successes, and although Scream 4 did make a profit, it was a bigger budget film. It was $40 million it cost to make, probably the most expensive Scream movie, and it made the least amount of money. It made less than $100 million worldwide. So I don't know where it all went wrong for Scream 4. It wasn't the worst in the franchise, it wasn't a bad movie at all, and it came out at a good time because remakes were coming out, and this was basically a middle finger to remakes at the time, so maybe it had something to do with that. I've no idea, but it wasn't a bad film. Even at the time people enjoyed it, so I don't know why we didn't get bums on the seats back in 2011. But then we got a bigger movie with Scream 5. It had a smaller budget. I think it was around about $24 million it cost to make, and it was a success. It made $140 million at the worldwide box office. We are hearing there's early rumours that Scream 6 will possibly make around about $37 million at the US box office alone, which is good. That would be more than what the previous film made. The Scream 5 made about $30 million in its first weekend, US only of course. So things are looking up for the Scream franchise, but where do we think it's going to end up when the theatrical run is over? When we look back in 1996/1997 when Scream 1 came out, it made $103 million at the box office back then. Today, in today's money, that would be around about $169 million, including inflation. So that's massive for a movie like Scream back in the day, especially when its budget was like $14 million. And it made $173 million worldwide. That is around about $329 million worldwide in today's money. That would make it the most profitable slasher of all time. But what's happened since then? Because the movies have deteriorated in quality, of course, but they've also deteriorated in their box office intake. And even though they've deteriorated, they're still massive. They still made lots of money. But how can they rejuvenate that? And I think the time is probably now with the revival of slasher movies, whether it be VOD or straight to theatres. I think there's a slight incline in the slasher genre, and I think the more slashers that come out, I think the more they're starting to make money again. Obviously there will be a dip when they're oversaturated, but I think we're coming, it's getting to this point where it's rising again, and all thanks to Scream and Halloween from 2018 of course. So I think now is the time that Scream especially is on the up. So I think that the box office for Scream 6 will be hopefully bigger than Scream 5. So if we look at Scream 6 and where it would end up domestically, first of all, if it made $37 million at the box office weekend, looking at Scream 5 with $30 million, and I think it had a 3-day weekend, so I think it took it up to about $33 million at the time. But let's say it was $30 million because that was the official weekend, and then we're looking at Scream 6 with $37 million. If it does an identical drop of percentage of intake each week by week, then I don't think Scream 6 is going to make as much as the original Scream movie at $103 million. I think it will just be short. I think it's probably going to be in the late 90s, maybe about $97 to $98 million at the box office, but that's only if it performs almost identically the way Scream 5 performed. But I'm hoping that, like I said, slasher movies are on the rise, and if it is on the rise, I think the decrease each week might be a little bit less, and if it is, then you could be looking at a bigger intake than the original Scream movie. By my calculations, I think this movie will possibly make up to $110 million at the domestic box office. That's an absolute maximum, 110 million, but I'm still thinking it may perform the same as Scream, so I think it might take about $97 million. So I've got a bracket here of between $97 million and $110 million at the US box office. If you look at internationally, I think that's a very strange one, because the original trilogy, it went up, and then 4 and 5 it's went down. So the original trilogy had $70 million at the international box office, then part 2 you had $71 million at the international box office, and then part 3 you had $72 million, so it's went up by $1 million each time. But then when you look at Scream 4, it went all the way down to $59 million, and then with Scream 5, even though that was more successful, it still made less at $58 million. So Scream 5 internationally is the weakest in box office terms. It's the weakest of the whole franchise. I'm hoping that they don't continue on like that. I think it will have an incline. I think it will go up a bit, but by how much, I don't know. It depends how successful the movie is in terms of quality, but at the moment I'm looking at possibly upwards of $65 to $70 million. So if you look at the worldwide total, my estimation at the moment is between $162 million worldwide to $180 million worldwide, so it's about an $18 million gap that I've given myself. So 162 to 180, that would make it on the higher end. If it made the higher end amount, then it would make it the highest grossing Scream movie of all time, not including inflation of course. If it makes $162 million, then it's still kind of close to the rest of them, but I'm hoping it's on the higher scale. If it is on the higher scale, we could be looking at the biggest Scream movie of the franchise. So what are your thoughts, guys? What are your estimations for worldwide, international, domestic, however you calculate it? Leave your comments down below. Let me know what you think. Let me know what you think of my calculations as well, and we can discuss it. As always, guys, thanks a lot for watching. Thanks for subscribing, and I'll see you soon. Bye bye.